What's up, YouTube? My name is Neesh. I felt that I have been led by God to create this video regarding abstinence. This video has been terribly hard and long overdue simply because I struggle with being vulnerable to other people, and I am a very, very, very private person. And so I was like, God, what is this about? And then, I was talking to my mentor. I was like, hey, I feel like God is leading me. She's like, oh, it's awesome. But I'm like, but what? She's like, when you put something out there of this magnitude, you know that the enemy is going to come after it. I was like, that doesn't sound fun. I don't want to be attacked. I'm going to get seasoned. I don't feel like it. And so I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But now I just need to do it. I was driving in a car, and this guy like smacked me in the head and said, girl, do it. So here I am. And so the first things first, I just want to, put this out there that I do have a 1-year-old daughter. She just turned one maybe like 2 weeks ago. And so maybe about right after her conception, or I don't really know, but it was relatively shortly after that I made the choice to remain abstinent. And it was one of the best choices I ever made in my life, for so many reasons. And it brought me closer to God, so much closer, because you don't even realize what goes into sex. Like, it's not just sex, it's everything. Your bodies are interconnected with this person. Your ways become their ways, and ways that are you can't even control, just because you're so connected to this person through sex. So that was an eye-opener for me, and so many things were an eye-opener for me. I jotted down 3 things that I feel like is extremely important regarding your journey to celibacy. I want to start with the first things first, and I would say obviously your relationship with God is the most important thing, because how can you even attempt to conquer this thing if you don't have a relationship with God? It don't make sense. You got to have some type of relationship with him that will help you, when you weak, because our carnality, our flesh is weak. Our innate nature is weak. And so in our weakness, we are going to go to our fleshly desires. And for us, obviously, it's sex. Like, it's like, oh, that's my man. Oh, you got a haircut? Come here. But it can't be that way, So when you have your relationship with God, is you talking to him. When you see your man with a haircut, instead of saying, you thinking all these thoughts to him, and you mimicking it to him, you tell God in your spirit, like, Lord, you know what I want to do right now. Please help me. Please help me. Please, you say these things to him, and you just start getting in a habit of talking to him. And, whenever you think the thought, like, soon as the thought appears, you just make it a habit of saying, God, I don't want to do it. I feel weak. I can't do this alone. And as long as you get into that habit, God will provide a clear door for you. So that's first things first, literally just making sure your relationship is A1 with God. That's like being in your word. For me, it was journaling, it was obviously Bible study, going to church every Sunday. It was just the typical things. And secondly, I would just say it was definitely being mindful of what I put into my spirit. So for me, this is just, obviously my example. I love Cardi B, and I had to give her up. I still don't listen to her often, but I had to give her up in this season of my life, because of my choice to remain abstinent. And it was a personal choice, and it was hard because I love her music, but at the same time, how can I defeat this thing that I'm flirting with, right? And so if I'm listening to her music about busting it open and all of this, all of that, how can I try to, when the time comes, what do I have to stand on that is going to, help me to defeat it? Because if I go back to what my flesh said, what you was listening to said, bust it open. So, ding, ding, ding. So it was, or if you have your flesh and your word, then it's still the constant battle. But if you eliminate one, then you only got one thing to stand on. So I think that that's so important. And that's not even just music. For me, it's music. For you, it could be porn. For you, it could be what you see on social media. Like, some people people have to get rid of Twitter, because Twitter is kind of like, explicit, so anything could pop up on Twitter. So if you see somebody doing whatever, pouncing on it, whatever the case is, you guys to get rid of it. There's certain things you just have to be real with yourself about. Say, I can't handle it in this season. For where I am, I can't handle it. Maybe in the future I can go from here to here, but right now I can't handle it. So that's really, really important. I feel like you literally have to be truthful about where you stand, and your truth will set you free. And I actually wrote down a Bible verse that I think is very, very, very important, and it is let me just go to it. It is Luke 4:7-10, but it's the Message version. And in this, it says, "So let God work his will in you. Yell a loud no to the devil and watch him scamper. Say a quiet yes to God and he'll be there in no time. Quit dabbling in sin. Purify your inner life. Quit playing the field. Hit bottom and cry your eyes out. The fun and games are over. Get scared, really serious. Get down." It says, "Get serious, really serious. Get down on your knees before the master. It's the only way you'll get on your feet." So basically, it's saying, like, stop playing. Like, how you trying to win, but you putting yourself in a position to lose? Don't make sense. Don't make it make sense, because it don't. So, like, you really just really have to get serious. And I would honestly say the last and final thing for me was, if you are currently in a relationship and you go from point A to, having sex to not having sex, obviously that will present its challenges. Like, that goes without saying. And so I feel like you have to have a partner that's in support of your decision. And if he ain't, or she, if they not, you got to tell them to go. Because who? Because God said. You ain't say, God said. And so that's real rap. Like, above all else, that's real rap. So, you really have to have somebody that is supportive of your decision. And, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Like, it is so hard to do the right thing sometimes, because our flesh is so weak. And I feel like, you really have to be truthful about that. I said that before, and I'm gonna say it again, being truthful just about how weak your flesh is, and just having that somebody, who you can talk to on that level, say, "Hey, I'm struggling tonight, say a prayer for me." And and that also goes into this thing, like, if you have a man, why are you buying that sexy lingerie? There's no need for that, because you already setting yourself, you planted the seed in your mind to say, if you take off this shirt, at least he sees something cute. Now it's harder for you to resist him. And that's just not for just men being weak. Sometimes we as women, we're weak too. Sometimes we are the weaker ones. And so that's just like the man. If you just got the haircut, and you know how she be when she see you with the hair, don't go over there. FaceTime her. If it's 9-10 o'clock, FaceTime her. And y'all be okay when you got the lust out your system, because it's hard. And if we don't do that, we will set ourselves up for failure every single time. And I just want to say, like, obviously this video is to help people in their walk, and it's to promote abstinence. And you just got to know that if you fall, you get back up again. Like, period. Like, if you decide in your heart that you are going to remain abstinent, and say you going strong for 2 days, and then you mess up, and then you go back to, you still abstinent. And it's not lying. If somebody asks you, "Are you abstinent?" you say yes, that's not lying, that's prophesying. Okay? Because just because it's not, don't mean it's not going to come. Like, you got to start speaking victory over your life. Like, I am the conqueror of this thing. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He has strengthened me to go from here to here, to deny my flesh. He has equipped me for this battle. I can win this. Like, when you start speaking life over yourself, then it becomes easier. And that's not saying it's not going to be hard or whatever, but it just becomes easier. And I'm just suggesting to you all that if you get your life with God right, and you pray to him about the troubling matters, and you start to pray about everything, especially as it becomes to your weakness with sex, and you let him know, like, look, and even if you're struggling with masturbation, because whatever you're struggling with, just pray to him and say, "Look, God, I'm struggling. I am struggling." For me, I was the first of my friends to go on this walk. So it was just me and the Lord. They were supportive, but they didn't really know what to say, because, I ain't talking bad about them or anything, because they're not there yet, but they will get there. So it was just me and the Lord. So sometimes you got to be the leader. And what I've learned from all of this is people are depending on your destiny. Your destiny is tied to others. How you are will be how they are. Like, for instance, since my journey, I have friends that are now 8 months, 7 months, going on 12 months strong with this whole celibacy thing, or I'm sorry, abstinence thing. But that's only because I planted the seed. Well, not me, obviously, but God planted the seed in me, and it delivered to them. So some people are waiting for you to get it together so that they can get it together. And I'm just suggesting to you all that your destiny, people are tied to your destiny. So be mindful, take heed, and pray. I'll be praying for you. We can bust it up in the comments if you want. And I speak victory over your life, and you can do all things through Christ.